Hey, sewing friends. So I have rather an embarrassing confession to make, and that is the one thing I'm going to miss about working and sewing is finishing a garment or wearing a new garment to work and having my coworkers and or my clients kind of fawn or compliment my sewing abilities or my handmade wardrobe. And we've all had that, when you tell someone, oh, thank you, I made it, and they're like, oh my gosh, you made that, or oh my gosh, you made that. So since I'm no longer going to get praise from my clients or my co-workers, I thought, you know what, Carol, let's sew to impress yourself, because I can honestly say that there are some things that I've made in the past that I probably could have taken my time with or unpicked and done a little bit better, but I just kind of rushed through it. So I think since I don't feel I'm going to want as many clothes as I had while I was working, but I still want to have the hobby of sewing and the joy of sewing, I think then I will make fewer garments, but hopefully better garments. And then I'm hoping to also sew for other people as well. My husband, my daughter, my sister-in-law, so that I can still have that joy of sewing, but I'm not going to have the huge amount of garments that I was making for myself in the past. Now I have to say, pat myself on the back. I do feel really good about my latest make, which is the Kashmere vernon button-up shirt out of a shirt weight, a fine needle cord. I don't know if you can see the corduroy in the fabric. Now I had told you about this fabric and these plans in this video here. I'll try and link it there. That I wanted to make the Love Notions Aria button-up shirt. And as it so happened, I was wearing a Vernon shirt that I had made before. It was out of this blue chambray, and I was wearing it with a pair of leggings and just going about my business, doing some housework, computer work. And then during the afternoon, I said, okay, I want to go ahead and start on the Aria. And I had made one in the summertime out of this beautiful lightweight linen, and it's one of my favorite shirts to wear. I love the pattern, I love the fabric, and I was worried that maybe, I've been home for a couple months, haven't really been exercising like I used to. I wanted to try on the Aria just to make sure that the pattern still fit me, that I didn't have to make any adjustments. So I took off the Vernon that I was currently wearing, put on the Aria, and I immediately saw the difference in the two. Now, I don't think one shirt is better than the other, and I don't like one better than the other. They're just different, and I think for what I wanted to sew and what I wanted that fabric for, I thought the Vernon would be a little bit better for me. The Aria seems to be a wider shirt, I guess. It's a little bit looser, and the Vernon seems to hug the body a little bit more, but by no means would I call it a fitted shirt at all. It's not a fitted button-up. And then the difference too is the cuffs. The Vernon just has this little a little band here. It doesn't have the placket. You just have a little, I don't even know what that is. That little kind of all the way placket. I forget what it's called. So you just sort of have that, and then a small little placket. Sorry about the fuzziness. Now I don't have the buttons. This is all done, except I don't have the buttons on it because I only had 2 left of this color. I wanted the contrasting. So I went ahead and ordered some more, and they should probably be arriving sometime, I don't know, this week or next week. And at that time, I will go ahead and put the buttons on. And, I had originally made, the way the Vernon works is the finishing is pretty nice, but it has you finish the hem before you've completed the garment. And that is, I don't really like that. I've sewn a couple of garments where, they do this nice finish where you can see, okay, I have some strings I need to clip, but you can see that the hem is encased here in the placket, giving it a nice finish, okay? And then you have your top stitching. in order to get that, you have to finish it. Obviously, you have to hem it before you finish the garment. And that means the hem or the length of the garment is already predetermined. I thought from the aria, or excuse me, the vernon that I was wearing, that I'd made before, that it would be fine. But after I put this on, it's amazing how the drape of the fabric can make a garment look different, how the thickness can make it look different. So when I tried it on at the original length and put it on, to be honest with you, I thought, oh, this is too long. This looks really dowdy on me. I thought it looked kind of like an old lady's shirt. And it's interesting because if I were to have tried that shirt on the way it was finished originally, if I were to try it on, let's say at a store, if I was trying, like if it were ready to wear, I would have thought, okay, I like this shirt, it fits me, but it just doesn't look good on me. It didn't dawn on me that the reason why I thought it didn't look good on me is because it's too long. I just think it's out of proportion with me. I'd like it closer to the high hip. So I did pin it up, just fold it and pin it up to give me an idea if I would like it a little bit higher, and I definitely did. So after finishing it, I went ahead and unpicked a lot because that is a finished hem inside of the binding, and shortened it another 1.5 inches. And to tell you the truth, I think I might want to shorten it a little bit more, make it almost like a jacket length, but I'm not going to know for sure until I get the buttons. I want to get the buttons on and see it in its full entirety, and I might think of shortening it a little bit shorter to high hip length, because that is very similar to the project that I'm currently working on, and that is the Modern Sewing Company, their overshirt. Again, this is one of the pieces that is in my 6-piece module that I'm working on for the month of November. And the fabric that I ordered from Merchant and Mills was delivered, and I had forgotten that I had also ordered kind of, they call it Effie Pink, but this is a cotton twill, and it is sort of a kind of pinky, I don't want to say rose color. I think it's showing up rose on camera, but it's more, I really don't have the right adjectives to describe it, but it's their Effie Pink cotton twill, and I'll be making that. I have it all cut out, as you can see, and that I did make a toile out of, and I was running out of muslin, so I had to go ahead and I had a little bit of muslin, a little bit of some other inexpensive quilting cotton that I had bought from Joann's years ago. So I put it on, and again, the same thing. I wanted to see where it was gonna fall. So I hemmed it according to the directions, and it hit me closer to the low hip than the high hip. And the pattern does say that it is drafted for somebody who is 5'7" and a C cup. Well, I am 5'5" and a D cup. I think the overall width is going to be fine, but I did like it a little bit shorter. So again, I folded it up, pinned it just to give me an idea of what it would look like, excuse me, at that high hip level. And I liked it much better because the fabric is a little bit thicker. I do plan on wearing more as a jacket versus as a shirt. And I do plan on wearing my vernon more as a topper versus a shirt that I might tuck in. So again, once the buttons come in, I'll do a comparison and see if I want to shorten it or leave it the length it is. The reason I ran out of muslin and had to use some of the quilting cotton to make that toile of the overshirt is because I have used up, I think, 11 yards of muslin trying to make the Modern Sewing Company worker trousers fit. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4 muslins here. Now, in all honesty, 2 of them were for the worker trousers, the other 2 were for the potting pants. And I was getting ready to cut into my fabric, I guess the fashion fabric for the worker trousers, but then, you know, because I I'm real excited about that pattern, by the way, and I was pretty good with the fit. But then my husband and I had gone out one night. We'd gone to Baskin Robbins, and I'm sitting there, and this woman walks by, and she is a larger woman like myself, and she was wearing a pair of jeans, and they were, you know, wider jeans. There's a little bit of drape and fluidity to them. And as she walked by, I could see the back, how they hung on her, and they looked really good. I wanted to take a picture, but she had gone into the bathroom, and then when she was leaving and we were leaving, I thought, oh, I'll go ahead and just click a picture real quick. But her husband was holding the door for my husband and I, so it would have been a little obvious maybe that I was taking a picture of the backside of his wife. So I didn't, but I did sear into my memory what the back of her pants looked like. And then I told myself, Carol, that is the standard. That is the standard I have to meet in order to cut into my fashion fabric. And again, it goes back to maybe not impressing anybody else, but impressing myself with my sewing. And when I saw how her jeans hung on her and fit her, I realized that these toiles are pretty good. Okay, I made a few, you know, I made them to the pattern, made a few adjustments. They definitely looked better, but they didn't reach that standard as to what I want them to look like. So I need to go back to Michael's, get some more muslin fabric, and I'll be working on those for hopefully Friday's video.